For those of you who have watched the earlier session in Chinese, I hope you found the discussion fruitful, and we thank you for your support to also tune in on the English session. If you're watching this on Facebook, do give us a shout out and drop your comments in the comment box. Before we start, I will first like all of you to give yourselves a good pat on the back, right? Congratulations for surviving the pandemic. It has been an immensely challenging 2 years, and we have seen people, including those around us, struggle with sudden losses. Families were destabilized as breadwinners passed away or lose their income, the rise of domestic violence, mental health issues becoming more prominent in our society, among many others that have cropped up since COVID appeared back in 2020. Now, as we reestablish our lives, it is time for a reset and to ask ourselves, what role can women play in the post-pandemic era? How can women evolve and adapt to this new world scenario and become stronger than before? And to address these questions, Soka Gakkai Malaysia has decided to begin talks focusing and promoting women's empowerment. It is hoped that through such talks, we can all work together towards building a healthier and supportive society where we can all flourish together as individuals. To kickstart today's talk, let us first watch this video interview where you will hear the voices of women in our community who each thrive in their own unique ways, regardless of age and background. With that, let's play the video, Dawn of the Women's Century.
"我的使命呢，就是为大家去量身定做他们的衣服，他们穿到满意呢，我自己也是会感到很开心。
教导特殊学生如何更有效地去学习，还有挖掘他们的潜能。在生活上呢，我也喜欢鼓励别人，为人们带来希望。
上课的时候呢，或者周会时，我通常都会与学生分享故事，来鼓励学生如何去面对他们的问题。
Throughout my career, I help organizing events, and I hope I can help in promoting art and artists, as well as raising awareness about the importance of art and culture in society.
I want to represent Malaysia for international competition.
独立、乐观、永不放弃的精神，
一次又一次的去勇于面对挑战了，然后战胜自己懦弱的心。
倔强还有固执，成就了今天的我。
是会影响到未来的。现今的女性得到知识的机会越来越多，而且男性和女性是对等的。
女性能够以本身独特的这个特质和男性在社会上做出一个互补的角色，进而呢发挥很大的力量。
Women nowadays not only as caretaker but also breadwinner. They play a very substantial role in liberating children.
In my entrepreneurial journey, I have been supported by many male figures who are supportive of the women empowerment movement as well. And from here, I can see that the contribution of women to the society will only grow stronger from today.
I believe that women plays a very important role in sustainability. And I believe that with the strength, wisdom, and compassion, women have the potential to change the world.
Women today have more wisdom to achieve their goals and dreams.
有着自己独特的魅力，绽放着除了对爱情，还有对梦想、对生活的热爱。
坚强、独立、自信、乐观，懂得欣赏自己的，那么坚强的还有独立的。
无论在什么年龄，都能够勇于追求自己的梦想。
全能，新时代的女性都是全能的，
能够跟辛苦共处，
像宝石般那样无限的灿烂，以及无限的绽放自身。
They are empowered, they are independent, and they are empathetic.
Powerful, intelligent, and very strong.
Strong to describe the woman nowadays.
Ambitious and decisive.
美貌与智慧并重咯，勇于挑战乘风破浪的环境。
Welcome back. I hope that video gave you some inspiration of how each one of us can pave our own paths to contribute to society and be the best version of you. We're excited to have you join us for the next 1 hour as we listen in on the journey of two women, Dr. Serena Abdulrahman, visiting fellow at the IC's Yusuf Ishak Institute, and Amani Abdul Kadir, Director of Partnership at the Women's Aid Organization. They both have very different stories, but ultimately they have shattered glass ceilings in their own way. I believe everyone in attendance today is here because you are an ally. You believe in each person's innate potential regardless of gender, and you agree the role that women play in making our society a better place to live in. I don't think I need to stress the importance of women's contribution to all of you, simply because you're all allies already, and that would just be speaking to an echo chamber. But what I would like to ask of you is that you soak in the experiences and the lessons that these women will share and help us spread the word and build more allies so that one day conversations about glass ceilings will no longer be necessary. Before we have our speakers take the floor, we will first like to put up this notice of disclaimer. Please note that the information provided in this talk is for general reference only. All views and opinions expressed in this talk are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Soka Gakkai Malaysia. And with that, without further ado, let me hand over the session to our moderator, Dinesh Chandran, editor at SGM Publications, to introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Trina. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to today's event. We have two excellent speakers today, Dr. Serena Rahman and Amnani Abdul Kadir, who will share their journey in life and their conviction in pursuing the path they are on. Allow me to first introduce them both. Dr. Serena Rahman is a visiting fellow at the IC's Yusuf Ishak Institute in Singapore, where she examines issues of sustainable development, rural politics, and political ecology. Trained as a conservation scientist, her practice is in community empowerment, citizen science, and environmental education for coastal habitat conservation and marine artisanal fisheries resources management. She is the co-founder of Club Alami, a community organization that has worked since 2008 to enable a fishing community in Tanjung Kupang, Johor to participate in and benefit from unavoidable surrounding development and urbanization. She is an Iskandar Malaysia Social Hero Award winner for environmental protection in 2014, the Malaysian ambassador for Citizen Science Asia, and was highlighted by Channel News Asia as an Asian climate warrior. Our second speaker, Amnani Abdul Kadir, is the Partnerships Director at Women's Aid Organization, or WAO, a non-profit advocating for women and child rights that is also the largest service provider for gender-based violence in Malaysia with 3 operating shelters. Her scope of work is in the sustainability of WAO through fundraising, public education via social media, community engagement, and strategic partnerships. She began her career in public relations and later volunteered as a crisis support officer with WAO before joining WAO full-time. She has mobilized communities and led various campaigns to promote greater rights for women and children, such as those pushing for the creation of safe spaces for them and putting an end to child marriage. She is the member of the Ministry for Women, Family and Community Development's Domestic Violence Key Messaging Committee to develop content and key messaging on domestic violence, and was recently selected an Acumen's Fellow 2022 cohort of leaders and disruptors, bringing positive social change to communities. So let us all first give a big hand to both our speakers and let's get this show started. Dr. Serena, do tell us how you got started on your current path.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, it is afternoon. Is this when I should be sharing my slides? Just to check.
You may, if you like to, sure.
All right. So I think just as to provide context, it might be better for me just to show you the slides so that, let me see if this works. Right. So that you understand how it all began, because it's very hard to understand without the context. But thank you, everyone at Soka Gakkai, for having me and inviting me to this session. It's not changing screen. Are you all seeing? Okay. Can you see a screen change? Yes. Okay, good. So as context, so that you understand what I'm going on about, I'm going to fly through these slides really quickly as we don't have much time. This is where we are located, Mukim Tanjung Kupang. It is in the southwest of Johor. It is a fishing village, and we're very near Puteri Harbour, which is what most people know, and Legoland. It's 10 minutes away. But the contrast in life between Mukim Tanjung Kupang and Legoland, Iskandar Puteri, is very different. This is what it looks like in our natural habitats, and this is where I work. We have seagrass, mangroves, rocky shores, soft coral island, and endangered species. As you can see, this is just to pull you in and wake you up and make you slightly interested. Seahorses, turtles, otters. We also have dugongs, but we can't really see them. This is an area where the community is a fishing village, and their livelihoods depend on the straits. All our work is to help the fishermen and the fishing community, and this is how they live. They used to live on stilt houses like this, right above the water, but development has displaced them, and now they live in land houses like this, a lot less interesting. The boats are quite far away. They spend a lot more on petrol to get there, and fish are in decline. So this is how it all began. I landed in this community in 2007. In 2008, we decided to set up Club Alami. If you can see this guy in the corner, his name is Shalan Jumaan, and he's actually the founder because he's a local guy, and I just landed there. And we decided to set up this organization to teach the local youth about the habitats. As you can see in the picture, we're always fighting. Amnani might not agree this is a good thing, but this is a post picture. We have always been fighting since 2008, but fighting so much that we ended up getting married in 2012. And so now the battle continues. Anyway, so this was a long time ago. And so all of these kids were part of our program. There were about 40 at a time. This is on a field trip to Pulau Tinggi. We did a lot of things then, mainly focused on environmental education. So we took them out of the classrooms and their homes and into the habitats. Best way to teach children. Education in rural communities, as you may know, is not great. So this really helped to wake them up and enjoy the outdoors. If you look at this little boy, I don't know if you can see my mouse in yellow in the corner pointing at the mangroves. He's still with us now as a full-time staff. This was when he was about 8 or 9, and now he's 20. And he's one of our key full-time staff. So this is them traveling all across Malaysia, giving talks, getting involved in universities, speaking to university undergraduates about their work. But in 2014, development escalated in our area. In 2015, our boss, Shalan, decided to change tack. And now we focus on enabling the community to benefit from, participate in the development that has come and encroached upon us. So now we focus on building incomes for the community, providing opportunities for them to earn extra. The environmental education still happens in the background, but the youth that I trained before are now doing that because I don't have the energy for it. And we still do our research and citizen science. All of the youth involved with us are trained citizen scientists. And we have a sustainable fisheries program for the fishermen so that there is long-term sustainability for the catch, we hope. So these are images of what they do. We've actually just come off a 5-day biofuel trip in the sea, and I was out there at 5 o'clock this morning. So I'm a bit stoned. So this is what we do on a regular basis. We take other youth out and have them out there. Today was part of their International Baccalaureate thesis research, so that was fun. This is our crew doing research. We have dugongs, and these are dugong feeding trails. This was a study we did 2 years ago, sponsored by the Johor Port Authority, to find out where our dugongs are and how many there are. Seems like there's a bit less now. And we publish what we do in layman's books, coffee table books like this one. If you notice the art illustration, that's done by our youth in the village. Photos are by them. It's just that I translated their research and content and local knowledge into English because they can't write English to save their lives, but they know a lot of stuff. Our future publications will be bilingual. They are writing academic publications that I'm helping with. This is to prove that we can, citizens, regular people, can do science, and we need to decolonize science. That's my secret intention. These are pictures of the crew teaching young people because I do not have the energy to do this anymore. And so school groups come down, they go into road shows, they do everything. And this is tourism. Our kids are trained guides. A number of them are nature guide badge license holders, green badge holders, and they take groups out, local, international school groups like the ones we had today, which were all wealthy foreign kids, out into the habitat. So our key goal is to help the fishermen. So you see the pictures here. We have about 40 fishermen under the program. We also force them to interact with guests and visitors, which they hated doing before, but now they're all gung-ho and can speak a bit of English here and there. They are our boatmen, boat captains for our tours. We have a pasar there in the middle, is Jalan Jumaat. And this seafood market that he started in 2016 enables the fishermen to earn double what they used to. At the same time, we teach customers about sustainability, about paying a fair price for quality seafood, no chemicals, artisanal catch, which means it's sustainable, seasonality, because a lot of customers think, I want my crabs, why don't I have it? It's not a supermarket, this is fresh catch from the sea. We have a sustainable fisheries program, as I mentioned, so our fishermen are trained to, if they see, this is on the left, spotted eagle ray, on the right, shovel-nosed ray. These are endangered species. This one unfortunately came out dead, but the rest that are alive, our fishermen release, take photos, videos, they report where the location is. They let us know sex, weight, length. So we have all of this information. We know where these species are. We know they are breeding. Unfortunately, we only have 40 fishermen under our program. So there are other fishermen who are still catching them, as well as fishermen from outside our mukim. So we are in the process. Tomorrow we have a meeting with Perikanan to expand this program to other markets as well as fishermen in the area. And hopefully we can get a grant to put this program into action, because we do provide the fishermen with a small token for the release, because they need this to pay for their family's food and baby's milk and Pampers and all that. So we need to figure out a way to compensate them even though they release the catch, because for them, every fish is income. We have a warung, as you can see, which helps the local women, teaches the local youth about preserving recipes, promoting our seafood. So people, as they're walking in towards the jetty, they smell the food cooking and then they want to buy more fish. So that supports the fishermen as well, provides the women with a source of income. And we keep our kampung cuisine, practiced and sold, and people know about it and keep coming in. So our fishermen, that's me at the jetty, when I don't have a school group to deal with, or I don't have to go to work in Singapore, which is what I'm supposed to be doing, but I didn't over COVID because the borders were closed, thank goodness. I hope my boss didn't hear that. But, I was at the jetty taking notes of all the fish catch that came in, because this is actually my research. The fishermen tell me about climate changes, fish changes, and there have been a lot. Climate change has impacted their catch. Our fishermen are endangered. Even the fisheries department knows that fish stock is going down, development is affecting their habitats, all kinds of effects, and we need to help them. So these are our Pendeka Laut, and everything we do now is to support them and their futures. These are our website and information, and the people who have supported us, some of them, and the kids in the community. And that's my speedy slides, because we don't have much time. But really, that's how it all began. And it's 14 years now that I've been here. I still see me as an outsider. And the whole goal really is to empower the community to help themselves. We don't want this community to sit back and wait for help, which is, the usual practice. But we want them to actively try and help themselves. And we try to find other sources of income for them. We do work with the developers, the local government agencies, with great support from IRDA, the Port Authority, the port. The developers in the area, we're all working together to try and provide them with alternative income. So here I sit, continuing to do this even as I hold other jobs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll get back to you about more of your what you've been doing there. So Amnani, what's your story?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for inviting me here today. So I'll just be sharing my screen. All right, hey. Okay, so I'm going to go into dreaming big and making things happen. And of course, I work for Women's Aid Organization. Can you guys see my screen? Is it clear? Yeah, okay, well, good. So Women's Aid Organization, it started off with 6 friends who came together to help and protect their friend who was experiencing violence at home. Okay, that was in 1980. Okay, so 6 people like you and me, usually like regular people, who just wanted to do something to shelter their friend. So their dream was to create a safe space for their friend and her children. And then later in 1982, they established Women's Aid Organization because there was a need for safe spaces for shelter for women in domestic violence situations. So we are 40 years on, and we are the largest service provider for gender-based violence with a 24-hour crisis support hotline and WhatsApp service for all of Malaysia. We have comprehensive social work and case management. We provide shelter, psychosocial support, counseling, family therapy, medical aid, legal aid, empowerment, skills building, holistic children's programs, advocacy research team, and community outreach programs. And all of this services is free for our survivors. So Women's Aid Organization, our dream and mission is to eliminate all forms of violence and discrimination against women and girls in Malaysia, and to promote gender equality in all spaces, sports, STEM, government, workplace, school, and so forth, to advocate for changes in law and policy reforms to create a better country for women and girls. So we made this happen. The Domestic Violence Act in 1994, the Child Act, 2001, Sexual Offences Against Children's Act, 2017, the amendment to the Domestic Violence Act in 2017, where we included psychological and emotional abuse as domestic violence, because back in the 90s, they only saw physical abuse as abuse. Okay, so now it's expanded to include emotional and psychological abuse. Pregnancy discrimination in the workplace, and 7 days paternity leave, which is going to be included into the Employment Act 1955. So these are big things for us, and of course, dreams we are working to achieve. Currently, our sexual harassment legislation is on hold, but it's getting there. We're going to have a Sexual Harassment Act soon, making stalking a crime, okay? And of course, this is something very close to my heart, to ban child marriage in Malaysia, amongst other advocacy we are working towards. And it always seems like it's so hard, are we ever going to ban child marriage, for example? All the other legislation that we've enacted and policy changes, at the start, we always thought it's never going to happen. But in the end, we worked at it. We informed the community, put pressure on government, educated the public, and then it happened. Okay, so dreams can be achieved. Okay, so this is my story. Okay, as you can see, back in the early 2000s, I know you all are wondering what is this related to? So back in early 2000s, when I was 19 years old doing my A-levels, there was a lot of denim back there. Dr. Serena, I'm sure you remember this, this era. I wanted to volunteer with WAO so much. Okay, so back then, 20 years ago, teenagers and youths used to read magazines. And I know the youths now, they're like, what's a magazine? Nobody reads magazines nowadays. It doesn't exist now, right? Everything is social media. But back then, it was a lot of magazines. And I remembered I was flipping through Clio, and there was this whole thing about Women's Aid Organization and what they were fighting for. And in my heart, I was like, oh my God, I want to be part of this organization. Okay, so what I did was again, back then, our internet wasn't that great. It's not like how it is today. It was a different time back then. So we had to read through the newspaper, find out the phone number from friends, and I remembered writing in email. Back then, mine was Hotmail, I think. And I wrote into WAO asking whether I could volunteer. And I wanted to do anything. I was willing to, file things, to clean things, to store things. And I didn't hear anything from them. Okay. So I got no response. And I was so upset. This was my dream, right? I wanted to be part of this wonderful organization. So I felt rejected. I felt not good enough. I doubted my abilities, and I was upset because I felt like, is it because I'm 19? I'm inexperienced. I don't know anything. And then, of course, I wish someone would give me a chance, right? But that experience had molded me and changed me to become the person that I am today. So when I engage with youths now, and when I receive emails or when people contact me or connect with me, I always respond. Even if I can't deliver something or I can't accommodate something for them, I always respond, number one. Number two, and I give people chances, because you never know, right? They may surprise you. So again, dreams do come true. Never give up. How did I end up in WAO? So it took me a while to dust off the rejection vibes. And I worked on myself. I built skills. I felt like maybe it's because I didn't know much about this. So I was going to work on it. And only later, when I was in my early 30s, did I decide to volunteer with WAO. There was a call on social media to become a para-counselor and handle the Hotline Crisis Center. And it was like a calling, like, okay, maybe I'm ready now. I'm going to try again. And I tried it. I went for the training for the crisis support officers. It was 10 months long. And I was like really committed, like I'm focused, I'm committed. I want to support women and girls in Malaysia. And that was 7 years ago. But I volunteered with WAO for 3 years. And at the time I was doing PR for content. So that's like movies, music, all the fun stuff. And then suddenly it's, working towards rights and building communities and educating, right? So again, dreams do come true at whatever age. If you have a dream, if you have a goal, age ain't nothing but a number. It's really about try again. If it didn't happen the first time, try a second time, try a third time. Do whatever it takes to build those skill set to get you where you need to go. Connect with people, get feedback, yeah? So it takes time to build skills towards whatever goal that you may have, okay? And it requires the right support system to encourage you to continue. So I had friends who were like, why don't you just try? Just try. You never know. And then when you fail the first time, try again, right? So dreams do come true, never give up. So I want to share with you about some of the programs that we have at WAO. So this is how we encourage and nurture marginalized girls to reach their goals, okay? So this is the Girls Takeover group. It's basically a platform on Discord, okay? Which is a community of marginalized girls from everywhere, okay, between 10 to 21, where we educate them on their rights, on their bodies. It's a safe space for them to communicate with each other so that they can feel heard. And it's a safe space for them to share with us what's going on at home, okay? So right now, our Girls Takeover, we have about 300 girls from all over Malaysia. So these girls in this picture here, this is actually from our program called Gerak Girls, Lembah Pantai, PPR. So we empowered them through art and advocacy, and we prepared them to be comfortable and confident so that they can speak to their MP and tell them what they want in their community. And they were so brave, they were so confident, and they spoke to, this is Fahmi Fazil, they spoke to him about what's going on in the community, what needs to be changed, and all he needed to do was listen. Sometimes that's the most powerful thing you can do, just listen. Okay, so this is another event where we empowered girls. This is to empower girls to dream big. So oftentimes girls, they're not asked what they want to be when they grow up. They're expected to be certain things. There's certain types of jobs that are for girls, okay? There are certain roles that they have to be, after you study, you go to college, you get married, you become a mother. Like, it's all preset for girls. So in this program, we wanted them to recognize that their dreams are of value, and we want to know what they are, and we want them to know that it's really about planning and so on, and breaking the glass ceiling. We want them to be like Dr. Serena, to have to go into STEM, to go into marine biology, to do things that that is beyond those gender roles that they've been programmed to believe that this is all that they can do, So this was great because we had, at the time, our ex-deputy minister for women, Hannah Yeoh, here, can you see? So she shared about her experience in breaking the glass ceiling in her political journey. Okay, and it was a very heartfelt one-on-one session with the girls, so they could understand that, it happens to all these great leaders, right, too. So it's part and parcel of building resilience and building that spirit. We also had one with our previous deputy minister for Ministry of Education as well, YB Tioni Ching here. And that's, of course, the one with Fahmi Fazil. So I'm just going to speed along here, yeah? But why is it important to nurture and develop girls to dream big? It's really to break the cycle of abuse, okay? It's really about getting them to understand that when you dream big, something positive for your life, that's self-care and self-love, and you learn to make good decisions for yourself. So we have to empower our girls so to ensure that they don't live, they don't continue that cycle of abuse that their mother was in, their grandmother was in. So we're trying to break that cycle of abuse. So how do we support women and empower women? So for mothers, we have a program called Power Up. So it's an empowerment and economic resilience program. And really it's about getting our survivors, our single mothers, our abandoned mothers together in a network where they relearn how to learn. Okay, so children, they're in structured programs where they're always learning new things and there's always leveling up. So they're used to learning, right? But us as adults, if we are not working with KPIs set in place and so on, we're not going to develop ourselves further. So for these women in this program, it's really about going back from the start and getting them to want to learn again. How do you learn again? Even to socialize among friends, right? To rebuild that network because they lost it in that domestic violence relationship. So it's teaching them how to be friends again. Okay, it's really quite an empowering journey for them. And I always, I get really teary-eyed when I engage with these women because they really come from nothing, no money. When they leave a violent home, and they stay in our shelter, they don't even, they've come only with their clothes on their backs, no money, right? So, and for me, I try to link this program up with different communities, corporates, as a CSR engagement so that they can come in, understand that for single women, single mothers especially, it's so hard for them, okay? And if you've never earned, if you've never worked and earned money, they don't even know how to financially save their money, budget, those things are out of their comprehension. So there are mentoring programs for them, and we try to get them jobs that are not, that can sustain them. So like cleaning jobs is not it lah. Okay, we try to upskill them so that they can work in an office, they can have ambition, right? So community engagement supports and nurtures women. So this is where the community, all of you here, how important it is for all of us to come together and support survivors of domestic violence. it takes an entire community to get them out of that cycle of abuse and for them to live a life free from violence and sustainable, financially independent, okay? With new friends, new circle of friends, they heal from trauma, they become good parents because they learn from other women who have overcome the violence, so they don't take it out on their children, right? They become role models, better role models to their children, you know, because they're striving and there's new skills that they build. And then it's really about that integration into society, because oftentimes, you know, especially in Malaysia, divorced women are really looked down on, right? But we don't know what's their background and how hard it was to get to that point. Nobody chooses to end a marriage or to get divorced. You know, everyone has that fairy tale ending that they want, right? But sometimes it's just hard. And it's really about this, you know, our community coming together to create opportunities for them. So just to share, WEO, we will be having a virtual volunteer induction session next week on the 25th. If any of you are interested, you can please connect with me and then be part of our program to get them back into society and uplift them and so on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amnani. Well, you've covered quite a lot about your work, but I will dive in a little deeper. Now, let us go back to Dr. Serena. Now, you work in you live and work in an environment that seems largely male-predominated. You know, a fisherman community. The term fisherman itself is a masculine term. You know, and you say that you see yourself as an outsider, but you've been there for 14 years, and so along this journey, what could you say could have been your challenges, or even setbacks or heartbreaks? And what do you feel are the greatest achievement and fulfillment that you have gained so far in this 14-year journey?
I think, to be honest, the greatest achievement is that I'm still here. But then again, I'm married, so I have to be here. Because I'm married into the community and inherited the whole Mukim as family, which is in itself a huge challenge because I'm not a big family person. I am actually, you know, I'm a city person. We don't really talk to anybody or bother about anybody else. And as you might know, in a kampong, everybody's business is your business and everybody is family. And that's, to be honest, I have many times, especially in the early days, gotten into my car and just driven back to KL and cried on somebody's sofa for a week and then come back. But at that time also, I was doing my PhD, so I had no choice. I had to come back. And I actually made the village my PhD. And so that kept me. And then now being married is also keeping me here. So I'm still here. It is a challenge. I grew up overseas. I've traveled the world. You know, I've seen so many things. And then I moved to this village, and it was extremely different. And it's a conservative Malay fishing village largely. We do have Chinese fishermen and Chinese people in the village, and they are part of our program as well. But the dominant culture is Malay, conservative at the outset. But when you get deep enough to know what's going on, there is actually a lot of funky things happening behind the scenes. But as the outsider, as I always say that I am, you become the target of local gossip, and the women never liked me. So while this is a program, a chat about empowering women, I'm not so hot on local women because I've always been the target of the gossip and stories, because that's just how they function, right? So it's very interesting to listen to what Amnani was saying about programs empowering women, and preventing women from the abuse from men. To be honest, amongst the young people that I've been working with, the biggest factor that's holding back the young girls from being with us, and we've lost quite a number, is their mothers, grandmothers, and aunts. The misogyny comes from the women themselves. And that for me is hard to accept, because I see women who are not in a great place themselves, but they will hold back their daughters, their nieces, their grandchildren, and not want them to get any better, any further. They do not believe in education. And that completely puzzles me. And for that reason, I hang out with fishermen, because the fishermen are quite relaxed, and they've seen me working on the jetty. I can carry petrol tanks, I can carry engines, I can do a lot of work, and they're all pretty cool with me. That makes the women hate me more. So these are the challenges, right? And I think in this kind of situation, there's also religion plays a factor. And how you demonstrate your religiosity is important. But what you actually do behind it is very different as well. And that's always a challenge, because clearly I'm not religious in their eyes in any way. So these have been the challenges. Keeping girls in the program has been number one. Fighting gender expectations and norms in this place is number two. I mean, I have always been the city slut who's there to take away their husbands, boyfriends, and all of this. I've been there so long now, they've just sort of given up on me. And then I'm married into the community. I'm not the ideal daughter-in-law or whatever in-law you want to call me, but I'm there and they can't do anything about it. Sometimes they do say that, oh, I do some good things. I know the fishermen don't mind having me around because I'm a laugh. But these are the challenges, the gender issues. I would like to see the girls do something different, but I've come to realize that for many of the girls, this is not their dream. They want to go out there, have children as soon as possible, get married as soon as possible, prove that they are not impotent, that they can pop a child as soon as they get married, like within 3 weeks of getting married, they have to be pregnant, or people will say they can't have children, and that's like the biggest embarrassment to their lives. So I've come to realize that while I have hope for some of these kids, and I think, and I would like for them to want to help their community, I've come to realize that not everybody actually wants to do this. They want to stay as cleaners. They want to just be mothers at home. And that's not, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's their life, that's their dream. And it's not my place to try and force them to be otherwise. But I do try to expose them to alternatives. We bring in a lot of people to teach them science, to train them as scientists, to engage with, all these international schools. Some of them, their eyes light up and they want to be that way. At other times, I wonder if I have poisoned their world and given them a vision that they cannot achieve because of all the social pressure. I can be different and put up with the nonsense that I get from the local women because I don't care, right? And I'm really strong. There was something earlier that was said about, in the videos earlier, it was about women being strong. Some of these girls don't have the strength to put up with the social pressure. And so sometimes I feel I've completely damaged their lives because I've let them see a world that they cannot possibly achieve because of the social pressure that they cannot withstand. So there's always a bit of regret and wonder in what I do. And I hope for the best. And I think listening to Amnani, I'm thinking, and we are in a difficult place right now because, we lose staff. We've lost staff over COVID, and sometimes we have to ask staff to stop because they're not doing things right. And so I've been wondering whether it's time us to stop. And listening to Amnani, I'm thinking maybe we can keep going. And maybe this is a message for me as well. That things are hard, but who knows, we can make it work somehow. So yes, these are the challenges. It is a big cultural, religious attitudes kind of shock. I am the devil in no disguise to these people. I insist that I'm the outsider because, when you go into a community, that's their community. I do not believe in intervention. I do not believe that I should be forcing them to change, because who am I to decide what's good for them? This is their life. Who am I to decide that my way is the best way? Would you want somebody to come into your house and tell you you're doing everything wrong? This is how it should be. I don't think that's right. I've had a question asked of me at a panel before, and they're like, how did you transform these people to walk the right path? And I'm like, excuse me, who are you to say theirs is the wrong path? I mean, if they're happy that way, they're happy that way. We just help them to, survive, do better, have more income within whatever they want. So this is why Club Alami is a local organization led by a local guy with input from local fishermen, run and, by local youth. They decide what they want. I am just God, we need this. Or can you go and make this happen? Or can you get these people to help us do this? And I just go do it. I am the running person. They say do this and I'm okay, I'll go try to do it and make it happen. It is not my vision, it is their vision. And that's the only way it can happen to me, because I would never be able to sleep at night if I think I'm trying to change how they function, because who am I to do that? No, it's just my battle to deal with that their vision is completely different from mine. And that's my problem, really.
Thank you, Dr. Srina. And going back to you, Amnani, do you still have your Hotmail account?
Oh God, I don't know. I totally forgot what it is, but yeah, I mean, that was a phase, right? That whole.
Yeah. Sure. Everybody had the Hotmail account at one point. But on a more serious note, you mentioned that you transitioned from a career that was dealing with fun stuff to one that deals with very difficult issues, violence against women and children. And today with social media, yes, we have raised greater awareness about these issues, but at the same time, perhaps amplified certain anger and even prejudices and erroneous views about these issues. And social media too have become tools of exploitation against women. So against the backdrop of this kind of issues, what again do you see are your challenges, the heartbreaks even, and also the achievement and the successes that you feel that you have gained throughout this journey of yours?
Yeah, so echoing what Dr. Serena was saying, harmful cultural practices really deters progress. So harmful cultural practices, still keeps us in, still holds back progress for women and girls to rise. And you're right, Dr. Serena, it's really not about telling the community how to do it, whatever that's right and so on, because that is their own cultural practice and it's been going on for years, right? But ultimately, it's about addressing the abuses that goes on, because whether we like it or not, domestic violence is a crime in Malaysia, but people don't know that, right? And for some strange reason, even Malaysian content, if you see TV3 or TV2, the dramas, even on Astro, they still portray these images, in the dramas, but who's watching those TV shows? So it's perpetuating this abusive culture. So that's also a challenge towards, gender equality and eliminating violence against women, right? And then that whole belief of not believing the survivor and victim blaming, okay? That really needs to be addressed. So even, for example, rape survivors, it's always about, well, what was she doing in, his house, right? What was she doing late at night? Why was she drinking with these men? The point is, rape is a crime. It's not about what she was doing at the time. You just don't do it. You don't rape people, right? Similarly, you don't abuse someone that you love, and so on. So I think for me also, one other challenge would be our current government is not stable, okay? And we've built so much progress with previous government and the ministry and so on, especially Ministry for Women. And now we're just seeing a lot of backlog of work, a lot of our programs and projects getting derailed. We're really not sure what's happening with the Ministry of Women. There's poor leadership there, which is why Kita Jaga Kita works. We cannot rely on who's in power, which party is there, who is the leader in that party, or who is leading the ministry. It doesn't work. It's really about mobilizing the community together. It's about you, it's about me, it's about all of us recognizing our own capacity to create change. Everyone has the power to create change, whether in their home, in their family space. I'm sure you know of one of your family members, if it's like Christmas or Chinese New Year or some other festival or birthday party where you have, two uncles fighting each other or two aunties fighting, and then there's the mediator that comes in. That person, the mediator, is doing what they can in their own capacity to create harmony. What we want to do is create a peaceful space, a harmonious space so that we can thrive. So similarly for women and girls to thrive in Malaysia, we need male allies. Okay, what do I mean by male allies? For gender equality to exist, men must recognize their role and their position. Sometimes you got to step aside and create that space for women to come in and to lead. It's about that as well. Yeah. So thank you so much for the male allies here today. Really, really happy to see there's so many of you here. Thanks.
Thank you.
If I
Well,
could just jump in, sorry, Dinesh, to provide a on-the-ground response to what Amnani was saying. I think, she mentioned a very good point about TV2, TV3 dramas. This is on 24/7 in rural homes. And this is what they ape. This is what they believe in. This is why I'm the city slut, right? Because if you watch these dramas, it is always in the city, everybody's rotten. And then somebody from the kampong with religion will go up and save everybody else. And I have seen with shock how these dramas portray that it's all right to be abused because you are so lucky that you've married somebody rich and you actually were married because look at you, what kind of position do you have? It's fine to be abused because you should just be grateful that you are married and able to have children because that is the goal in life. I have heard girls in this community tell me, oh yeah, my sister-in-law was beaten up by my brother and she deserves it because she behaves this way and that way. And the girls, the women actually believe they deserve to be beaten up for whatever reason. I cannot brain that, but that is how they function. And what they really do need are these programs that WAO are doing to tell them that, no, this is not right. There's a line, right? There's culture and there's abuse. And some you can let go and some you can't. So I do try to tell them, but then I'm the devil. So who am I to tell them that their culture is wrong? What I do actually is to give them publications in Malay, through religion, Sisters in Islam, anywhere, anything else I can get in the Malay language, whether I understand it or not, and give it to them and tell them, look, read this. This is not normal. You do not allow anybody to beat you up, no matter who it is. And there's very little that we can do actually because we are fighting a bigger cultural battle. We are fighting institutionalized beliefs that have been there for generations. And there was actually a question sent to us pre-panel asking about how we can empower women. How can we do this when there's not enough female leadership, when there's all these bigger issues? I think if we think about the bigger issues, like Amnani said, if we're worried about who's in power and all of that, we'll get nothing done. We need to do what we can within the restrictions that we have. So there's this power structure and we do what we can within that power structure to make a difference. So I can start with 40 kids, I'm down to 3 or 4, right? But at least that 3 or 4, or even the rest of the 40 would take away a little bit from the time that they had with me. And hopefully that will tweak a little bit of how they see things, prevent them from beating up the wives, prevent them from throwing rubbish into the river. Every little bit counts. And if they teach one other person, that's a multiplier effect. Every time our crew teaches a bunch of kids about the environment, that's a multiplier effect. We can't go by thinking we can't do anything because it's institutionalized, because we don't have anybody in power that's helping us, because there's only 30% of the politicians who are women. Don't worry about that. We can't change that. Don't waste time and energy on things that we cannot control. So we do what we can. We help our neighbors, we work in our communities, we make that difference that Amnani said, we help in our families, and slowly that will multiply. And that's how you make a difference. Don't bother about the stuff that you can't change. Do what you can within what you can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Srina. Wow, how time flies. We've come very close to the end of our discussion today. So in closing our discussion, how would you both encourage people, men and women, to follow their dreams and fulfill their potential? Maybe Amnani, you would like to go first on this?
Hi, yeah. So again, dreams are there. You got to follow it, right? It's not meant to be in the back burner. Maybe it's not the right time, but work towards it. Have a plan, set up a plan, and you can't do it alone. Okay, have someone you trust, have a support system, and try to get yourself to where you need to go. They say, what is it? Aim for the stars, you fall on the tree or something, and then you fall on the ground, something like that, right? But yeah, age ain't nothing but a number. So please go for your dreams and all the best.
Thank you, Amnani. What about you, Dr. Serena?
I think take it one step at a time. Have a bigger goal. Don't worry about the super big things. Just, have a dream, look towards it, never give up. Find people who will support you. I've had an incredible support network of friends, people I could turn to when I just really wanted to give up. Listen to every little thing. Like, Amnani just gave me a message, I think, from the universe to keep going. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Never give up hope. One small step at a time, just keep plodding on. That's what I keep saying. I'm still plodding on. Never be afraid to reach out for help, because you never know who's just waiting, to want to help you. And I never realized there are people who want to help. And I used to struggle to ask for help. And I think that's an important skill. Reach out. There will be somebody to help. Don't give up. Small steps.
Can I also add, Dinesh?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Dr. Serena, you are the epitome role model that I want all my girls in our Girls Takeover program to aspire to become, okay? Because you're really creating impact in your community, okay? I know it's hard. It sounds really hard and isolating, but the fact that you stuck it out for 14 years, bulletproof, keep on going. You're doing an incredible job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Soka Gakkai, for having us.
Thank you. Well, I really, really wish that we had more time. And today we have heard the stories of two remarkable women who chose paths not usually taken, paths that are challenging, but their ardent persistence have helped make a difference, not only in their own lives, but also in the lives of those around them. And in their respective journeys, they too have found fulfillment and their place in the universe. In his 2022 peace proposal titled Transforming Human History, The Light of Peace and Dignity, Soka Gakkai International President Daisaku Ikeda writes, and I quote, "No matter how critical the times or adverse their circumstances, human beings are inherently capable of working together to bring forth positive value and generate waves of change that can transform the era. I am thoroughly convinced that gender equality and women's empowerment are the keys to overcoming the COVID-19 crisis and building an economy and society that sustains human dignity," unquote. The conviction and efforts of Dr. Serena and Amnani do resonate with the ideals expressed by President Ikeda, and they have really shown that how one person is capable of sparking positive and uplifting change in their surroundings. I have been greatly inspired by their sharing, and I'm sure that all of you here have been inspired too. On behalf of SGM, I would like to express our deepest appreciation to both our speakers for their wonderful sharing today. Thank you very much, and I hope all of us here have a great weekend ahead. And I would like to pass back our session to Trina, our MC.
Thank you, Dr. Serena, Amani, and Dinesh for such a well-rounded and thought-provoking session. I believe both Dr. Serena and Amani personified women in today's age, taking their past pain experiences and transforming challenges into opportunities and become advocates for change. To quote Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the former US Supreme Court Justice, in her words, open quote, "Women belong in all places where decisions are being made. It shouldn't be that women are the exception." For both men and women, the first step in gaining power, in getting power, is to become visible to others, and then to put on an impressive show. As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there will be more women out there doing things, and we'll all be better off for it, end quote. And with that, we've now reached the end of today's session. And on behalf of Soka Gakkai Malaysia, I would like to say thank you for spending your precious Saturday afternoon listening in, and we hope to see you again in our future talks. Take care and have a good weekend.